From the NRA annual meetings here in Atlanta, Georgia, I've got Kent with CCW Safe. How you doing, man?
Doing great.
We were talking about gator stories, and we thought that we would just share alligator hunting stories with everybody, and that's what we're going to talk about. No, we're here to talk about CCW Safe and everything and trends that are happening, and you guys continue to grow.
For sure. Yeah, it's been rapid for us. Of course, you know, like everybody did in 2020 and 21.
Yeah.
But that was also when kind of the word got out big time about CCW Safe and what we do and how we do it. So, you know, it's been very sustained growth for us for quite a while now.
It's completely different than any other, like, kind of carry insurance that you deal with because you guys just do it a different way because you guys lived it. So
right.
Talk a little bit about the background and the development of CCW Safe and how you guys really expanded the mold of what people should expect.
Yeah, the founders of the company were retired police officers. And so when they were working in officer-involved shootings, they had all the protection in the world. They had all the resources. The Fraternal Order of Police took care of anything that would happen to them. And it was really, you know, what the term we use today is this sort of holistic coverage where it's not just, oh, hey, well, they get an attorney and they help you or they pay for that.
Maybe.
Yeah. And so Mike Darter, who had an officer-involved shooting and ended up getting sued in civil court, federal civil court, through one of his incidents, he was working with the ATF, ended up having a successful outcome. But when he retired with Stan Campbell, they were like, well, who's going to take care of us now if something happens to us in our personal life? Like the FOP does not help retired officers
it ends
in a self-defense
guys.
incident. And so they looked at the market, and there was still a couple people early on back then, and some of those are still around, and they were like, this is garbage. Like, this is not adequate to take care of everything that we need. So they started the company to basically bring that same model, that holistic model, full service, full care.
So when you talk about holistic, you're not talking about mantras and you're not talking about sweating it out in a sweat lodge together, talking about it. Like, you guys are really boots on the ground. Really quickly. I mean, when something happens, you guys are there.
Yeah, it's one of the major differences between us and everybody else is we have a critical response team that's comprised of retired homicide investigators. So if you get involved in a lethal shooting or even a more serious shooting in self-defense, we do deploy. Within 24 hours, somebody shows up to start assisting you and your family in person.
Well, and then asking the questions that you have no idea, and almost assisting, but on your behalf.
That's right. Really, when I say, well, it's a retired homicide investigator, they're like, oh, they're investigating. And like, no, they're not doing any of that. No. They're there for, in the police world, what they would call peer support. And so it's just peer-to-peer, person-to-person support. So we're not only just getting them through the events that are happening, right? In some cases, they're being bonded out of jail. And so we're there to meet them when they come out, if we get there at the right time, preparing them for what comes next. What are the police going to do next? What's the DA going to do next? Getting them to their attorney's appointments, talking to their family about what's going to happen next. What to do on social media, what not to do on social media. It's a big, big deal, right?
That's the worst thing you could get, is social media in a time like that. That just seems like the wrong move for you. But people are so tuned in to sharing their lives and sharing and telling their side of the story. Sometimes that's not the best thing to do. And you guys are very good guides. It is a spiritual guide. Like, hey, this is not the right time to do this. Let's rethink this. Like, talk you through it.
Yeah, and we even just in who you talk to about the details, even, cousins, brothers, parents, like we really want to limit who knows everything that's going on. And so that you can manage correctly your whole situation so that you're going to have the best odds of success. Right. And we could do another show sometime about social media.
Oh, gosh.
We have some information about that, about just in your day-to-day life, because when you get in a self-defense incident,
they look through everything, don't they?
the DA's team is going to go back and look at what you wrote 2 years ago, 5 years ago, all those things. And so a whole separate episode.
Oh, my
for
gosh.
that.
See, those are things that you don't think about now that seem great. Sharing them out now, look what I'm doing, but down the road could have detrimental consequences.
For sure.
To your character, to your person, I mean, whatever it might be.
So the boots on the ground is definitely something we do. It doesn't happen extremely often,
right.
But we have this team of experts that does that. We have a team of legal experts in-house, and so we're acquiring your team locally. We're finding and vetting the best attorney in your local market, that knows the DA, that knows the investigators, that knows the clerks in the courthouse,
So
that's always the best
you're not
solution.
locked into, hey, this is the only guy we have in your area. Like
No.
You're not locked in.
No, we don't use what other people kind of call a network.
Right.
So we're picking based on your specific circumstances in your specific location.
Oh.
So we're here in Atlanta. It's a big city. Let's say we had 3 incidents this weekend, God forbid. Here in Atlanta, we might pick 3 different attorneys. So you might have something that's sort of more in the brandishing mode, right, which is very common for some of our members. Well, there's somebody who's going to be really right for that. But if we had a lethal shooting, that guy's may not be right. We're looking for trial experience in a self-defense case with the potential of a murder outcome. That's a whole different person.
Right.
And they're probably not working a lot of the brandishing stuff.
Well,
so we're dialing it in.
And you guys have had a bunch of interesting cases and testimonials from folks who said, like, they went out and bought me clothes, like, so I could have, like, because I don't think what people see is what happens after the shooting, what happens after you give your recollection on what has happened, like, or where it happened. Like, if it happened in the home, like, you're not getting to go back in there, and you're going to have to take care of everything else that happens once you do get back in there.
Certainly. And, people think, they perceive, if it's in my home, I'm automatically presumed innocent. And, it does not always work like that. It's certainly advantageous in a lot of the cases, but we do have a member who had the incident inside his home, and he was arrested. And so we got him bonded out. I think it was probably about 36 hours later. Sometimes you can't get the bond hearing as quickly as you want to get it. And he wanted to go home. We were waiting for him across the street when he came out of the jail, and his home's a crime scene. So he can't go home.
So you can't go home.
The police have not released it yet, and he was dressed the way he was at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, which is, boxer short.
Yeah, which
shorts, whatever,
most
t-shirt.
of us aren't wearing a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly. And so we had a hotel for him. Chris, who's one of our critical response team, got his sizes of clothes and went and picked him up a few things to wear. We got him some food, right? All those little details are not in our contract. We just take care of the people. It's like,
you're taking care of people.
Yeah, and so nobody calls and has to ask permission and go, well, this guy doesn't have any clothes. Is it okay if we go get him some clothes? No.
Just go get him clothes.
Just take care of the person, right? I mean, these are all just normal
and it's stuff we
human decency.
We don't think about that.
No, and the last thing, when you get out of jail, and I've never done it, but it's easy for all of us to understand, you don't want to be in the store shopping for clothes.
No.
You don't want to go out and sit in a restaurant and this was in a smaller town where people are seeing you, knowing, because your event was on the news and in the newspaper, right? You want to be kind of stashed away trying to get yourself together.
Right.
So we were there for about 3 days helping the person.
Just to navigate life after. I mean,
and so nobody else will do that in the industry. We don't really know why, but it really does go back to our roots, and so that is part of it. When we say holistic coverage, right, we're really talking about all the other things. So yes, critical response is part of that.
Right.
In this case and in a number of cases we've had over the years, we pay for counseling services, right? When you get involved in these incidents, they're very traumatic.
Oh, yeah.
You will be in some kind of shock. You will need to talk to somebody about it. You can't just eat that inside like men want to do.
Oh, yeah. So just stuff it down till it comes out again.
Yeah. So
it's brilliant.
So we pay for the counseling services. His home needed to be cleaned once it was released. We had already made arrangements with the right people, right? And people have seen me speak before. They hear the same thing. You don't call Molly maids to clean that up. You have to have, hazmat type cleaning service. And so we get that dialed in. They released his home back to him, I want to say at like 9 o'clock, and we had somebody there at 10 to get it cleaned up. And then to add to his trauma, he he was renting this townhouse. Got evicted the same
Oh,
day
yeah.
because they considered that a violation of his lease, what had
Yeah.
happened there.
So he was basically homeless.
So you're going through a lot, that you don't expect and that you can't possibly, in some cases, prepare for, and that's what we step in.
And I think what separates really, and you've got to think about the team that you're entrusting your funds to. And I think that when we look at something like this, that's what you got to look at, and they know what processes are going to happen.
That's right.
When we really don't know. We know, oh great, like court, all that good stuff, but they know what happens after the fact, after what steps of the process the DA is going to go through.
Sure.
So.
Sure. That's where, when people often ask me, what kinds of things should I look for in a service like this? And of course, you should just look for our name and call it done.
Right. CCW safe.
But there are some bare minimums you have to make sure that you have, right? And yes, you want somebody who's going to pay all your legal fees.
Right.
Right. And so, and you have to make sure that that's inclusive of everything. Like paying the attorneys is part of it, but in some cases you're going to need investigators, expert witnesses, exhibits, and that stuff runs up super fast.
Real quick. Yeah.
So in this one incident that we're talking about, that one is still ongoing, and I think we're almost to a six-figure number on investigators and expert witnesses.
Right.
We get the best of the best. So you have to make sure that all that stuff is paid for, because most people don't have $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 laying around to get the best possible outcome. And so that's a table stakes. We think the critical response, with people who can guide you through personally through all that is table stakes. All these other things, a bond coverage. There's a company in our industry, I won't say who it is, you can buy their plan that doesn't include any bond coverage. You have to specifically add that on. We don't even sell a plan that doesn't have $1 million bond
So let's
coverage.
look at the plans. Let's kind of examine those and like what you're getting with, because there's different plans for families and all that good stuff, and who's on the coverage. Walk us through some of the plans and what folks out there should pay attention, what might work best for them.
Yeah. So we do have a variety of plans, but at the core they're all quite similar. So our base plan is what we refer to as the Defender plan.
Okay.
And it's $209 a year or $19 a month. And that covers, let's say it's you sign up, you're covered wherever you carry. It's multi-state coverage. It includes $1 million bond, unlimited legal funds, the critical response, all that stuff is included, counseling, clean seat cleanup, all those things. We have a similar plan that's called the Protector. It's the same, it just has a discount for first responders. So the coverage is the same, and that's sort of our base coverage. And then we have one upgraded set of plans, which sort of falls under the Ultimate plan, and that has some civil liability coverage built in. Okay. So if you were to get sued in civil court, of course we pay all the legal expenses on all of our plans, for even for civil trials. But if you were to have a financial judgment against you, and you want to add some protection for that piece, you can buy civil liability coverage.
Oh, wow.
And that can be added to any of the plans. The Ultimate plan kind of bundles it together and gives people a little bit of a discount. It includes coverage for a spouse inside and outside the home. But that base plan, the Defender plan, your spouse and your non-adult children are covered inside the home as a courtesy.
Okay.
So if you weren't there, something happened.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
We even cover, like let's say you and spouse were out and you became incapacitated and the spouse picked up a firearm, we would cover that as well, right? I mean, it's all sort of common sense to us, where it's like,
I know, it's like people treating people right.
Yeah, we don't look for technicalities like,
not in our wheelhouse there.
No, we always have a bias to take care of the members.
To help.
That's all we do. People always get really complicated about their business and this. I mean, yes, this is a business, but we exist to take care of the members in these crisis situations, and then for the ones who aren't, to provide them training and education so that hopefully they can avoid or navigate them a little bit better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
CCW Safe, man. I mean, for like $19 a month to be covered in those type of situations where your life is going to fall apart, like, is unmatched.
Yeah. Even the lowest sort of level thing with it, somebody gets into where they need resources.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to get into things where the police come and they don't do anything and you never hear from them again, and it's fine. You need to tell us so we're ready. But even ones where it's like, well, I had this thing and now the police want me to come in and do an interview. And the facts are all in your favor, and so we're gonna hire a great attorney to get them prepped for the interview and to go in for that interview. And a lot of those end right there. You do the interview and they confirm what they thought, and okay, it's all good. You know, that alone will pay so many years of your membership with us, because we're not just going to get a guy, you know, some local yokel for $150 bucks. I mean, that's going to be several $100s, if not more, depending on the situation. And so the payback is really fast.
But we all hope that we never have to use it.
That's right.
That's the beautiful thing about it, is hopefully we never have to use it.
No, and that's why the training and education piece is important. And so we do, we have a lot of experts that write stuff for us. We'll do case analysis on some of these high-profile incidents where you'll have guys like Don West or breaking down what happened, what did people do right, what did they do wrong, what were other ways things could have been handled. And so we're just trying to give people the material to do it. We have our retired homicide investigators. You can go watch podcast number 69 on our website, and it's 2 retired cops talking about how to talk to the police when they show up. You know, people are always confused about that.
Well, it's an education portion of what you guys are doing, and trying to keep your members like tuned in to, you know, how the process works and what to expect.
Well, this is another kind of axiom for us. Is right. Everybody practices with their firearm, right?
Oh, yeah.
How to load it, how to clean it, how to shoot it, how to draw it, how to, defensive pistol, like to go take that class. You know, some of them do more than others, but they don't rehearse what to do after you've had to use it in self-defense.
Never.
What am I going to say to the police? How am I going to speak to them? You know, who's going to call? What if I'm incapacitated? Who's going to call? And all these things that need to happen.
What if I'm wrongfully accused and they get there and they say that guy had a gun out? And now you're going, I had what I was going to say because I'm the good guy.
Well, yeah.
I'm the good guy.
So my first piece of advice is any kind of confrontation or whatever like that, be the first to call the police.
On the phone.
Be the first.
Yeah.
It's fine. We've had some where the member has called in and the 911 has told them, oh, well, the other person's calling in right now too. Fine.
Oh, yeah.
What you don't want is to have your thing and you think it's no big deal, and then they call the police and then they show up at your house later and you didn't call in. It doesn't mean you didn't do the right thing.
Right.
It's just you want the process to be as favorable for you as possible. So when in doubt, call 911, tell them what happened.
Yeah.
That
Don't assume someone is calling on your behalf. Don't assume that. Never.
No. We've seen the whole spectrum, and of course, if it's a serious incident and you've been in a shooting, there's some really specific things you want to do.
Yeah.
We have some more information on the website. It's too long to go into, but you don't just call and go, well, hey, there's been a shooting over here at the 7-Eleven, and I need some help.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. You do need to say that, but there's a few more things that you want to do to set you up for success. Because when the police show up and you're standing there with a gun, they don't know who you are.
They don't know. Yeah.
They're not, hey, excuse me, are you the guy that called 911? No, it doesn't work
No.
like that. So get some
doesn't work like that.
We have plenty of training education, and a majority of that is free on our website. So if people are watching, if you're not a member, go to the resources section.
Go check it out. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
All right, CCW Safe. Hey, they're going to be on the show floor at NRA. If you happen to be around and you see this video, stop by and see them.
For more great gun content, subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. You can also watch the Gun Talk channels on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon. And of course, you can always find us at guntalk.com. Thanks for watching.